Hello everyone, it's Jack from Visual Effects. Today I just want to quickly show you the thruster pack. So in this pack we get a few different thrusters that we can add on to our spaceships or ships. 14 included, and they're all 3D VDBs. We're working on a 2D version of this product as well, so keep your eyes tuned if this is too resource heavy. So I've just lined up VDB volumes but not changed any of the settings. So if I just copy in volume and then calculate and then calculate. We will change the frame to somewhere in the middle, 340, to make sure we're seeing the actual thrusters in action and not just in their initiation phase. The other thing worth doing is on one of them offset it by a few frames, so 80. That's the reason we give you so many. So now that one of them will look a bit different to the other, actually maybe a bit more, 122. So one of them will be 122 frames in front, which just means that they'll look a bit different, so they're not looking the same pattern. So if I just select this section of the image, also I'm going to turn off all the AOVs apart from post-processing, slowing down the render. So what you notice already is it's already looking quite cool, and that's because we've got an emission object inside these thrusters that's pumping out and actually blasting this smoke already. But we actually want this thruster to be giving off some light because this is the powerful thruster. So what we need to do is we just need to jump into medium, change it to fire, and then we'll go back and change this temperature to flames. Again, you can change these to whatever you want. This just gives you more flexibility in changing different channels for different things and different looks. So for flames, we kind of want this to be probably about 32. We might need to crank this down or up again in a bit. But what you can see is you can see that lovely kind of like look there, which is really neat. Let's go a bit hotter. So we will change this again in a different type of setting. But if we go 55, we'll split the difference. So there we go, that's looking pretty cool. Obviously the beauty of having a VDB as well means that we can do flyby shots and the actual thruster will be truly 3D. And then let's just isolate just this one so we get some idea of what's going on. So then we'll just jump back into our volume medium. We kind of want this to make this more dense, but don't crank it too high if it's just flames, otherwise it'll look blocky. And probably 50% for something like this. So that's pretty much the basics of getting that thruster to look pretty cool. But then the fun begins when we start to go into the scattering and the emission. So if we go into the emission, we can then control how bright it is. If we just crank this to 22, we'll see like how strong that really is, but we kind of don't want it to be that bright. So we kind of want it to be about 3, maybe. Yeah. 2.5. So let's get to the fun part, the colouring. So if you want it to kind of look like fire, so it's more of a combustion, we just get rid of this red because it's never a very nice colour. Yep. And then create a black at the top. That'll help cut some of the smoke out that's not necessarily needed. And then just to get rid of that yellow, so it's not predominantly yellow, you can add a white or a pink for the super highlights. If you want to add even more variety, let's just show you what that looks like. So somewhere along here with a pink. And then to kind of change this up a little bit, we can then just use this max value to really crank towards more of these ends. So if we go higher, it's more towards this orange, and in the middle is close to where we was. So if we just go to there, maybe, that looks pretty nice. Let's pause render to avoid it crashing, and then we'll duplicate that to save me doing the settings again. So we'll just bring that one up to there, delete that other one, and then change that offset again to about 120 so it looks slightly different. So let's just render the new region. That one needs shrinking down a bit as well because it's coming out. Well, they both are. So that looks really cool with no real major effort. And if we spin round, we'll get that 3D feel, which is amazing. And obviously there's a certain thickness to it as well, which is pretty cool. So the last thing I want to show you, which you've probably known from other tutorials, is if we just go in, we can also just change the colours completely. So although that is quite nice, there's the option to load presets, but also we can just literally go in and go, do you know what? I kind of want this to be more Star Wars-y. So we need to make it more along the lines of pink or the blue that they go for. And then go more red for that. So you can see quickly, easily, how good these volumes are at being able to adopt and change. There's a way to get more smoke as well by increasing the density mapping. So it's just shows how real flexible they are. Let's go for blue on this one, so more of a cyan colour. And then deeper, probably more into the purples. So there's three different looks we've just explored within the same VDB, which is really pretty cool. So let's try a different thruster. Might need to remove it, but let's see what happens. So if we just pick thruster high res for now, make sure you press the calculate button. Yep, as I said, might need to move this. So let's just quickly see what's happening. So unfortunately, because they're all different projects and different simulations, then they might all be in different places, which is unfortunate for swapping assets, but it also means it's a good thing because it's not just a change one setting and then hey, a new asset. So it's better to have more variety, I think, and then just have to faff with moving it around a little bit. Obviously the 2D ones will work differently and they'll probably be better in terms of just changing the texture. So as we can see now that this VDB is loaded, it is very different to the others. So we just need to move that. Also, actually, if you've got a heavy scene like this, it's sometimes worth turning things off for VDB volumes, because it becomes a bit overwhelming and a bit slow. This is even more slow for me because I'm screen recording at the same time. So let's bring our hanger area back. And then let's just render this region again so it's not taking forever. So this one's a bit different in terms of density. So we kind of probably want this to be higher. Let's try 888 and then probably 20%. So this one's more of a smoky one by the looks of it. So you can change the look again by using the same colours maybe, but just probably lose the white for this one. So a cool trick for this, if you want to reduce the amount of smoke in this particular volume, we can go into these and actually change these to flames as well. with Octane it is particularly sometimes clunky, so we have to press this button again. So as you can see, there we go. That is a lazy way of pretty much almost removing all smoke. So just showing the flames just means that for the absorption, scattering and emission channels, it's always only showing flames. The only thing with this is you do have to be careful how high you crank this value, because it will get blocky. But it does mean cleaner, sharper looking fire. You can also put another one inside this, but that's very resource heavy. So yeah, hopefully you found this useful. We've done a tutorial on this before, but it's just demonstrating there that like all the thrusters are all in that one pack. So it gives you a lot more flexibility and gives you more options than ever before for a low price. So yeah, hopefully you found it useful, and catch you on the next one.